to Fearless Fridays. Today is Friday, April 26th, and this is episode 26 of Fearless Fridays. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're watching on Facebook or IGTV or YouTube. I thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time watching, welcome to Fearless Fridays. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you will enjoy what I have to share. I tell my viewers all the time that I hope that whatever I share helps you or blesses you or encourages you or inspires you or maybe challenges you or gives you a kick in the pants, because sometimes we need that too. So I hope any number of those things are happening, and I thank you for watching. Today I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about all week, as usual, and it's the idea of time and how much time it takes us to get to a certain goal or to get to our purpose or to, carry out our vision. One thing that I have always really dealt with is the amount of time it's taking me to do something. I've always felt like, growing up, I wanted to always be on time. Even as an adult, I always want to be on time, and I want to give myself enough time to get to where I'm going. And I hate being late, and I hate the feeling of rushing. And so I want to give myself extra time. And so I get caught up in the clock. I get caught up in time. And I live in New York City, and sometimes things don't work out on our time frame when you're dealing with trains and people and all kinds of things. Sometimes I find myself rushing to get to my final destination, and I get there and I'm 2 minutes late, and I'm like beating myself up because I'm 2 minutes late. And the people there are like, okay, whatever. Hey girl, how you doing? They're not worried. And I'm like, wow, I spent so much time rushing to get here and stressing about whether or not I was going to be on time by the clock. And the people on the other end are not bothered one bit by it. And so I am learning to really rethink the way I think about time, or to kind of change my perspective on time. A lot of us have dreams and visions and goals and plans and purposes for our lives, and we want to carry those things out. We want to walk those things out, and we're rushing to get to those things as opposed to using our time wisely to get to those things. Let me tell you something. I do not believe that God would give you a dream or a vision for your life and then not give you the time to make it happen. Let me say that again, because I think that's really important. I do not believe that God would give you a vision or a goal for your life and then not give you enough time to walk it out. God is not rushing us. He is not anxious. He's not full of anxiety. He's not exhausted and worn out. He's not depressed because we're taking forever to get to the purpose that he has for us. He's more concerned about who we're becoming in the process and whether or not we are obtaining what we need to obtain and learning what we need to learn, so that when we get to that final destination, we can be effective in that position or in that place. He's not anxious about it. So why are we? We live our lives, and I feel like this is something that happens a lot in Western culture. We live our lives according to the clock, according to the 60 seconds on the clock, and everything has to be perfectly scheduled and perfectly within a certain time frame. And I understand that part of that is so that we can keep order and so that we can actually get things done. But sometimes I think we are so held hostage by those little 60 seconds on the clock that we spend more time being anxious and less time actually being productive and enjoying the process and walking the plan out. And I think that this is something that, especially for me, and maybe many of you out there, this is something that I really need to work on, is not being so caught up in the clock, not being so caught up in the days, the weeks, the months, the years. We have these 40 under 40 and 30 under 30 and 20 under 20, and everybody thinks they have to do a certain thing by a certain age or they've completely failed. And it's just not true. It's not real. It's some arbitrary thing that, we've made up. And this is not permission to be, to be lazy. This is not permission to procrastinate. This is not permission to drag your feet and just kind of have a nonchalant attitude about everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we should do that, because that's not productive either. but we can't be so caught up in getting to the final destination by a certain time frame on the clock or a certain age or a certain year that we neglect becoming who we need to become in the process and in the time that we're given to make that thing happen. So like I said, this is something that I'm working on. This is something that I encourage all of you to work on. Think about how you think about time. Think about how you treat time. Are you being productive? Are you walking in the plan for your life? Are you steadily making yourself, pushing towards your goal, or are you just anxious and rushing and missing things, missing steps and making mistakes because you're rushing? Don't allow yourself to get so caught up in time that you rush and you become full of anxiety and you're tired and you're exhausted and you're depressed and you're angry. Don't live your life according to somebody else's time schedule, and don't allow anyone to rush you. Also, don't allow yourself to drag your feet and be lazy and procrastinate. So there's a fine balance here. There's a fine line that we have to walk. You don't want to be, nonchalant about everything and procrastinating about everything, but you also don't want to be anxious about everything and pushing the process along because you just want to get there really quickly. You got to learn how to find the balance. Use the time wisely. Don't get caught up in other people's timelines. Don't get caught up in the 60 seconds on the clock. And know that God has given you enough time to carry out the purpose, to carry out the vision, to get to the dream, to get to the goal. God has given you enough time to get there. That's what I believe. I hope this helped you. I hope it blessed you. As always, fear is stupid. Get out in the world, live, love, go, do, be, and enjoy the process. And don't rush yourself through time. I will talk to you next week. Happy Friday.